The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Many of Jesus' disciples who were listening said, "This saying is hard. Who can accept it?" Since Jesus knew that his disciples were murmuring about this, he said to them, "Does this shock you? What if you were to see the Son of Man ascending to where he was before? It is the Spirit who gives life, while the flesh is of no avail. The words I have spoken to you are spirit and life, but there are some of you who do not believe." Jesus knew from the beginning the ones who would not believe and the one who would betray him. And he said, "For this reason I have told you that no one can come to me unless it is granted him by my Father." As a result of this, many of his disciples returned to their former way of life and no longer accompanied him. Jesus then said to the 12, "Do you also want to leave?" Simon Peter answered him, "Master, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. We have come to believe and are convinced that you are the Holy One of God." The Gospel of the Lord. Whom do you serve? Whom do you serve? It's a fair question, isn't it? I'm not sure that it's a likable question, though. I'm not sure it isn't a question against we instinctively rebel. Because why did you come here to Notre Dame? To be a servant? A chauffeur? A butler? Or do you have dreams of being a nuclear physicist, a filmmaker, an artist, a physician? Whom do you serve? Well, I don't think many people came here to Notre Dame to live far down on the food chain. Whom do we serve? Despite the initial reaction we may have to the image of ourselves as servants, I have to say that many of the people whom I most admire are precisely that, in one form or another. In all sorts of ways and occupations, from volunteers who serve the poor and feed the hungry and the homeless, to nurses who care for the sick and the dying, and even more locally to some of our housekeepers here in our academic buildings and dorms, who I have known to be the most professional of people, to go about their work with the same care and concern as somebody who works in a radiation laboratory. And paradoxically, some of those people that I have known in this place, in some of the most menial jobs, are among the more joyful and fulfilled people around. But none of us came here for that, did we? To do menial jobs. We don't like to think of ourselves as servants. We don't like to think of ourselves as subordinate to anybody else, which is why most people like me tend to gloss over that second reading about wives being submissive to their husbands, because a lot of people cringe at the thought of that. But we are all subordinate to someone. even Jesus Christ, the Word made flesh, the Son of the Almighty Father, subordinated himself to God and to the needs of the church, which means all of us, and his Holy Mother subordinated herself to his will and to his mission, even though the way to the cross was against the instincts of every woman and mother who ever lived. They subordinated themselves to something greater, and we are called to do so as well. We have many questions to answer during our time here and once we go forth from here out into the world. But whom do we serve? That's one that I hope keeps rattling around in our brains, that we never really lose consciousness of, because the answer to that question can give us so much direction for the rest of our lives. And if we lose sight of that question, we may also miss out on the answer to what it is that will fulfill our greatest ambition: to be followers of Jesus Christ and to be his servants in all that we do.